Our next speaker is Gene Ryan, the VP from Daymon. Welcome, Gene. It's great to have you.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Gene, I'll let you introduce yourself and Damon, and then I'll drop off the screen and let you do your presentation.
Great. Sounds good. Thank you. All
Thank
right.
you.
Right. As said, I'm Jean Ryan. I'm the Vice President of Strategic Advisory for Daymon. Excited to talk to you guys today about differentiation and innovation. Just really quickly before we jump in with Daymon to this week, we're we focus on private brands really throughout the world. We touch everything from strategy to execution, every channel and category, internationally as well as locally. So what my group does is really sits at the center of that and along with consulting, analytics, data. We work with Mary Ellen and Sakana. So one of the key things that we put out to the industry is our private brand intelligence report. So that's what I'm going to be sharing today for a few minutes. We reported a few weeks ago. If you haven't seen it, you can download it from our website. Prior topics of this annual like we to move down things like omnichannel, what's going on in the supply chain, key things to note as far as where experience goes. This year, we really focused on innovation as our primary topic. We have some consumer research in here around perceptions of private brands, checking in on how they are perceiving them across the board. And really, the bulk of the report focuses on key innovation pillars that we've identified as where we see the most opportunity for private brand product development. So, not going to be able to go through all of the report. It's pretty dense, but there's a lot of great data and information there that I'll be able for you today. So first, just to touch on some of the research that we saw, this is from a survey that we did just a few months ago, about 1,000 consumers in the US, where we asked them to reconfirm what they're thinking and seeing and feeling about private brands. I would say that none of the data surprised me or I would or anybody else who's in this industry. But really what we found was really a confirmation of positive perceptions of private brands that really challenged that legacy notion of them looking at their options, just generic thing on the shelf. So what we saw was 94% of consumers viewing national brands as just as good or better, or viewing private brands as just as good or better than operating positive with their lifestyles. There's high levels of trust, reinforcing the fact that they perceive them as a better value, which is great, and that's seen a large increase than the last time we did this survey a couple of years ago. So I think really what this validates for us is the role that private brands not only can play, but actually consumers expect them to play. And the reason that we really see this information and think it's so critical for innovation in particular is that quality and value at this point, as you saw in the stats, are expected, right? Those are essentially table stakes. If your private brands are not doing that, then you're essentially behind. So how do you get ahead? You have to find these other reasons to create loyalty across tiers, not just the mainstream tier, to really create strong programs that have longevity. One of the biggest stats that we hear at time and again is based from analysis that we've got up to 98% of product assortment is the same between competitive retailers. And various that category varies much you know, but broadly, there's a huge role for private brands to play in order to address that lack of differentiation otherwise. And we see this hunger for innovation coming from, all corners of the space, essentially. 78% of consumers tell us they're seeking out new flavors and trends. Manufacturers are investing in product innovation capabilities, and retailers are really looking for this as well. Reinforce, expect to accept more innovation over the next 6 months, even outside of new and cutting traditional schedules. All of that sounds to us that innovation is really important, and that's why the report is so heavily focused on that for this year. We start talking about innovation by talking about consumer behavior. This is a tool that Daymon publishes every other year about broad global consumer trends that we're seeing that we will continue to impact retail in very large way. Happy to talk to anybody about this. And another point in time, I'm not going to go super in depth here to reach out. Actually, we identify 6 mega trends. I want to say 42 micro trends, and essentially use this framework to then see where things overlap and impact that then drives these product-driven innovation pillars that the report is focused on today. So we see a lot of overlap. We see a lot of strength and longevity in, say, using not just fads, basic business that are key trends. So the report focuses on these 3 pillars purchasing with purpose, fit the functionality uniquely for me. Each one of those has two step pillars where we really, again, believe that there's annual program opportunities that are really critical for private brands to consider their role in delivery. When we talk about innovation pillars in the report, there's essentially 3 sections that we're using to highlight what's going on, how we're starting to see solutions address it, and most importantly, this innovation roadmap idea, which acknowledges that innovation really doesn't look the same for everybody. We know that what's innovative for someone brand new might be very different than someone who's been doing this for 50 years. So we have started to lay out this idea of a roadmap with various stages of if you're not already playing in the space, here's where you can start. Obviously, there's also nuances related to channels, markets, some of it that are specific to this opportunity. So I'm going to just try level through each of the 3 pillars. Again, there's a lot more information behind this, but just for today, to give you a quick take on what we're seeing and where we're seeing it. So first, purchasing this pillar is really around these 2 primary ideas. The first is put forward solutions, where essentially this is the evolution for us of plant-based to plant forward across both food and beverage, as well as non-food packaging and other components. The second piece is Better for World, which is more around sustainability, conservation, especially as we move virtually into some of the trends that should be coming to the US side sooner rather than later. And I'll just pause here for a second. If I've already lost you because you think that plant-based is so yesterday or doesn't really drive your shopper in particular, what I would say is twofold. So one, we do not put these 6 sub-pillars out there and say this is an equal opportunity for every single program. Every program is going to be slightly different in terms of the consumer coordinating, the regional differences, the market landscape, your business strategy. So plant forward or sustainability may not be the number one concern in your market, but that's part of the navigation of leveraging these pillars is figuring out which ones are most impactful to your consumer base. And then the second thing that I would say is even digging into these in a bit more depth, plant forward is not just for smaller populations like vegetarians and vegans. There's also aspects of plant forward that address varying consumer needs. Maybe your doctor told you you need to eat less meat for your heart health. How do you get more vegetables into your diet in that way? Maybe you're a parent who's trying to round out your child's nutrition within once you're studying with the school, right? All of these plant forward solutions can be a part of solving for those needs, even if we're not jumping right to what is perhaps commonly thought of as being the point of plant-based diets. Just quickly, some consumer stats that help us feel confident that this is something that really is needed across the board. Again, this mega trend is really a combination of wellness, value, and a bit of that personalization as well. What we're seeing is that 83% of consumers are looking to live a healthier lifestyle than they did a year ago, but they're also experiencing barriers to purchasing healthy food and the number one barrier is healthy units cost. They are trying to eat healthier, more nutrient-dense foods and looking at private brands to help offer them affordable solutions in this way. Now, from a sustainability standpoint, also surprising, but just validating, we do see sustainable claims increasing new purchase intent for the consumers who care about it most. And the consumers who care about it most are the younger shoppers. 1/3 of millennials, as an example, plan to increase their sustainability purchases over the coming year. So just validating where some of these needs and interests are coming from. And again, this isn't the newest trend, but that's one of the reasons why we think it has so much more grounding and future application as well, is we're really starting to see some of these shifts become more and more mainstream and build from there. On the left-hand side is some examples of plant-based. We're seeing a lot of increase in the use of branding or other tools to help consumers navigate these options, especially if they're not as familiar with the space. So that can be sub-branding, that can be shopping guides. On the right-hand side, sustainability initiative, which is that we're basically to take on more baseline, whether that's at the brand level, such as Sam's Club, like how they reimagine the numbers of our brand in the mainstream tier to have a number of what just a few years ago would have been considered more lifestyle tier-based sustainability standards. Some of them are on the core, some of them are a little further out, pollinator friendly, et cetera. And we've only seen, I think, some more niche programs as far. Others are at the total banner or company level, where metrics policies are being established broad stroke for entire groups, and then figuring out how to incorporate brands within that to help deliver on the sustainability. So when we look at the roadmap for this pillar, there's a lot on the slide. I'm not going to go through each one of these. Again, please reach out with us to help figure out which of these make more sense for you and why. Often not an exhaustive list. But essentially, each of these stages build from market basics, so you're not in the space at all, where you should most likely start giving general consumer needs and how they essentially fit into the spaces. Stage 2 is more about building a variety, and then stage 3 becomes how we actually see orders become the stage of the space. So I think thinking about putting subcategory like milks is a great example of how you can see it build across the stages. Just offering the most common dairy alternatives like almond milk, etc., is really the stage one market basic point here. Most private brands do have this already, but there's many that haven't entered this yet because they're consuming it. Moving into the variety stage, that's where we start to see varietals of plant-based milk, and so maybe moving more into oat milk, and that's also now becoming more common in food service, but also potentially expanding these dairy alternatives into adjacent categories like cheeses, cream cheese, etc. And then becoming more distinct and ownable to take a variety of like milk factors there as well. But again, maybe you're going a little further into more unique flavors and types of those with milks. Maybe you're adding flavors to the plant-based dairy. Maybe you're getting into even more innovative materials like tea milk or some of the other newer ones that we're seeing. And to also start expanding into even more peripheral categories where you have cheese as an ingredient instead of perhaps the main primary ingredient, like frozen pizzas with plant-based cheese. Just an example, there's a shot list here, but part of the breakdown and where it gets really interesting is figuring out which of these make the most sense for a given program, a given category, and building from there. The second pillar that we have in our innovation pillars is top fit for functionality. Two sub pillars here. Overall, these are around main terms that speak to wellness in the big one here, but more specifically, how it overlaps with things like convenience and individuality. So deep performance is really around helping consumers to meet their personal health goals, which we know is a huge definition, a lot of variety there, but essentially how we optimize that and make it efficient to build up their individual performance and their individual needs. The second forward here, slightly different, is more around playing up the convenience side of these trends of more. Again, convenience has a number of different meanings for consumers, and figuring out how to better solve those is really where the innovation comes from, whether that's simplicity, time savings, value, accessibility. A lot of consumer needs boiled up here, but essentially they're expecting us to help them do more for them than ever before. Multifunctional products, multifunctional services are really what we're seeing here. From a health and wellness standpoint, 75% of shoppers following Evan's one dietary approach, high protein being high. I think that's why the cottage cheese example of that Marion is really taking hold, finding different ways to leverage on it types of meals. Nearly 1/3 of shoppers say functional benefits make them more likely to select a product. And they're also interested in private brands providing affordable solutions here. There's a lot of interest in where private brands can be an actual solution. And then on the convenience side, again, not a shop, I don't think, but younger shoppers really being critical drivers of this trend long term. Over 50% of shoppers willing to pay more for convenient solutions, so that rises to almost 70% for younger shoppers. Again, finding ways to give them solutions, make it easy, while still addressing their flavor interests, their cuisine interests, which get this into the third point is really where some of this has a lot of staying. And because this definition of convenience, this definition of functionality is so broad, there's no way I can touch on every single way that we're seeing this, but a couple of key all-outs that I'll make is, one, the ability to serve a variety of health needs as a single solution. So primarily here, that can be things like the acknowledgement of health being full body, right? Mental and physical, how you're serving that with ingredients, with services, etc. It can also be combining multiple types of benefits into single products where there are ingredients or claims that help address multiple needs, such as gut health, which has been a bit more common recently, but couple that with the rise of the immunity focus over the last couple of years can really help create a good solution that meets multiple needs all at once. The other side of this is delivery convenience delivery as far as, again, like I mentioned, that could be simplicity, it could be different needs state. Um, One example here are online recipes that are searchable and filterable, and maybe see that a lot now as more and more retailers invest in omnichannel capabilities. But someone like Walmart, if it chooses to look within value, also creates handout rates like cost per serving for some of these recipes. And then you can add them all directly to your cart, taking some of the mental calculation out of it, as well as saving time. And then also, again, this is not just for the all-based trends keeping working as well. Some of these crafting kits that we're seeing, again, consider multiple needs and be convenient in the sense that they're giving you everything all at once. And they're also touching on a number of various occasions, such as seasonal, on-go, birthday parties, etc. So really finding reapplied stations with parents to meet different occasions, opportunities, that kind of new and different or approach their fashion with private brands. So again, innovation roadmap here from market basics all the way through to distinction. I'm not going to go through all of these again, but I think essentially the way that we see it evolve from this power in particular is, again, stepping through on the where do you expect these to come from today? What are some more common things that health need vitamins used? But then building on top of that, getting into a bit more niche, perhaps if that's for consumer. If you're somebody who knows what nootropics are, chances are you're only in the stage 3. If you're someone who's consumer, I have no idea how to pronounce that word, then we're probably talking about slightly different type of functional ingredient or differentiation to meet them in a different space who they are. And I don't think to put over a way for me who could speak to you about how to best identify which of these might make the most sense. I think the format piece of these delivery systems is also really interesting. So perhaps the itself isn't changing, but when we're seeing a lot of innovation and development of packaging format, taking the format fully into a new category, spraying pouches, etc., to better meet your affordability, on the go needs, especially with the food changes. So the last pillar in our innovation report is called Uniquely for Me. This pillar is really centered on some of the key mega trends around joy, which is one that I talked about yet, as well as personalization, where how those three things relate overlap. This is not about just developing unique items, all of the pillars about developing unique items, but really how we can combine various flavors, senses, experiences, and innovate in that way to create things that are more personal, more engaging, and this need for show element of being share worthy is also continuing to be. So we see time and time again with children really seeking immersive fun experiences. It just depends on the why. Some of the ways that we're seeing the most interest, 43% of Americans are interested in seeing more international cuisines on the menus that they think probably that can be pulled here. Unique flavors also make them more likely to try new different products. So again, helping the drive trial, getting them into the brand is really critical. And also for shoppers, saying personalized products, making them with different products, your different products. So I think a lot of power here on doing this well. I think one way that we're seeing this come to life in the market already are things around new flavors and themes, finding different ways to intersect between novelty, personalization, and shareability. Essentially, we'll try to prevent that folks that Trader Joe's do very well, but that any other retailer can find the right way to balance affordability and values. One key way we'll see for me, or like, is global flavors. Again, this isn't a new idea, but how it's being executed, the new flavors that are starting to come into consumer periphery is are continuing to evolve. So Trader Joe's platforms, a lot of these global flavors and ingredients, but they're unique, bright, unexpected forms or formats, and not just mochi ice cream or mochi mochi ice cream, but also waffle mix pretzels. Things again more familiar for shoppers who will then reach out to try a new flavor with what I don't more what we're familiar with that specific flavor. All we also does an interesting job of forming these types of global flavors, not into just food products, but also balancing it with their omni finds and then some general merchandise to really create a holistic experience for different flavor beans. The other point here that I want to just touch on quickly is the seasonal element of the twin offerings. In addition to private brands exclusivity in general, we really see these as an interesting way to emphasize the novelty and drive an increase in purchase occasions where there might otherwise not be as much organic interest without the flow of the new product. Targeting with their pet brand, I think these cat scratchers would be such a great example of this. Before you start getting these seasonality here and you buy one, maybe a couple may sit. These types of scratchers create more of a pull at shelf to consider it almost more decor and increase purchase occasions. And then they're also very cheerful. Pictures on social media, etc. Similarly, Publix, they're one of the two folks who do sort of limited edition for the ice cream brand. But, it's there and then it's fun. And they supplement that with realistic packaging, flavors, etc., to try to increase that method of formula and then extend that trail, hopefully, into the rest of the Publix premium brand. So, roadmap here between dynamic pairings and made for show. Again, like the others, some of the market basics are essentially starting off where that innovation is almost a bit more expected, I would say. So things like cookies, ice cream, where you see a lot of development in national brands as well of flavors and different types of flavor combinations, and then expanding that throughout different categories, different flavors. And the late thing about wonkies too, I know I'm talking a lot about food, but things like sensory appeal, scenting, textures, patterns are all really big when we start to think about wonkies, general museum, and in particular, their seasonal opportunities. Really quickly, I just want to come back to this slide that I shared before around quality because innovation is the main topic that we push with this PBLR report. But what we're also seeing from state of the industry standpoint going into 2024 is a need to balance that future innovation with the foundational components to make sure that we're not risking any of the trust, quality perception, value perception that consumers are putting in our kind of brands. So balancing act to make sure that the focus on innovation doesn't eclipse core elements of program development. So things like clear brand strategies, clear brand definitions, and guardrails are things that we're seeing a lot of intelligence kind of bring them right now. Making sure the brand is clearly defined. What does it uniquely deliver for consumers? How does innovation actually build on this? And then once products are on the shelf, also confirming that through QA testing that the experience is such that we have that positive experience in totality. No matter if one item is a newer one or on the own shelf of the program and our quotes. So just to dig into that, just as an example, I think it's really important to mention that the size of category, if we're going to often talk about things which are positive, right? We can get them from one brand into another list categories. But the flip side of that is there also is risk if there's a negative experience that could infiltrate into other parts of the brand. So what we see from our research that I just talked about, 85% of consumers moving category quality better than national brands. When we actually start to get into like quality assurance testing, we've seen as many as 1 in 4 category items testing out of less than satisfactory rating, but often no learning as retailers from a true quality spec consideration. So that 76% of shoppers who will switch to other brand items on an ongoing basis, we're essentially risking that continued loyalty and trial if this foundational side is not picked up on the same rate as the innovation and feels like more. That's essentially the key takeaways that we're seeing going into next year. Consumers are continuing with their testing trend brands, both in the expected attributes as well as these bigger, better growth opportunities, which means that innovation continues to be critical for private brands. Again, reason for your consumers, what market you're in, what your business strategy actually is, not all the innovation pillars highlighted will be applicable, but broadly, we feel confident that these are key mega trends that will continue to drive growth overall. And then finally, balancing an innovation with strong foundation so that we make sure that we're getting even higher scores on all of those things in the years. So that's what I've got today.
Thanks, Gene. That was great.
Thanks, Chris.
So I'll ask you the same question I asked Mary Ellen. So what has surprised you this year?
Yeah, I got Mary Ellen first because when I got to think about the answer. I think the key thing for me is a lot of what we're talking about isn't brand new, right? It's not actually surprising. It continues to be sustainability, it continues to be how you're to innovate, it continues to be how to have strong QA guardrails that are products and meetings. I say the big themes not really changing is what I find so interesting. And really, it's more about the ways that individual brands, programs, and retailers are able to choosing to investing in where they play in that space. So I think that nuance is really what's interesting.
I mean, that's where it gets interesting, right? It's we can talk about private label, private brand is this big thing, but it all comes becomes so homogenized when it's one big thing that let's
Exactly.
talk about what Foxtrot is doing or Simple Truth
Yeah.
or because there's so many and there's pockets of really cool stuff, and then there's pockets like your 1 and 4 where, "Oh, we need to fix that," and it becomes a much richer, more interesting conversation.